This is Tom Neese with Serve Wenatchee Valley, and you're watching the NCW Life Channel.
And we are back for one more edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley before we close in on a three-day weekend. I am Dan Kuntz. It is Friday, 26th day of May, 2023. For a lot of people, they already are taking Friday off for a four-day weekend. I'm looking at you, Tucker. Raining lightly here in the big city, 54 degrees. This is not a big surprise, the light rain. We had a little bit in the Wenatchee Valley last night as well. There's a rather significant upper level low right over the Douglas County, Okanagan County border. It's spinning around counterclockwise. That's what they do. And so it's grabbing some moisture and it's bringing it around. And so it's raining lightly. It's going to taper off as we go through the day. I was looking at the radar and it looked like it was raining a lot. I really don't think it's raining a lot. I think it's just raining a little bit. But it's a pretty sizable thing. It's going to get bumped out of position. There's a big ridge of high pressure that's been sitting off the Pacific coast for a number of days now. It's going to start working its way inland. The weekend looks really good. A little iffy today, mixture of clouds and sun. The rain will taper off. But Saturday looks pretty good. Sunday and Monday look really good with sunshine and highs in the 80s. That all important. Memorial Day weekend forecast is coming up. Plus the news in sports. Mariners, for the first time in over 3 decades, sweep a 4-game series at home against Oakland. We'll have highlights. It was close, but they pulled it off. 3-2 was the final. And we'll talk about all the high school spring prep sports. It's championship weekend. The golfers are done. Now all the other spring sports, fast pitch softball, baseball, track and field, tennis, all the other ones will be wrapping up their weekends. And we'll have that when we get to sports. And speaking of baseball, we'll re-air the interview I did with Storman, Joel Norman, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Apple Sox, as they are 1 week away from their first game of the season. It's down south. It's in Bend. Next Friday, next Saturday, next Sunday. They got next Monday off. And then on Tuesday, the 6th, they'll have their home opener at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. We'll have that for you with Joel in the back half of the program. Our tour begins with the Wenatchee Heights camera. Looks kind of ominous. It's not that bad. Looks like there's a pretty good band of rain right now coming up in the East Wenatchee area. It's raining lightly here in the Wenatchee Valley. It's kind of a sprinkly, misty kind of light rain. Again, it is going to be tapering off as the morning progresses, but it looks like from what we're seeing there that there's pretty good rain maybe coming down in the Fancher Heights area. That's just from the view here that I see. You have a better view than I do. We have lots of bright lights in the studios, and the monitor is about 10 feet away from me, so sometimes I can't see it particularly good, and I'm getting old. So there's all those factors that come in there. To the Arundel Rock camera, but we're got it flipped. Oh, we don't. It's not flipped. It's back where it normally is. When we were setting up the show, it was pointing the other direction. It's pointing south towards the Wenatchee Valley. And you can see above Mission Ridge, you can see a little bit of blue sky there. So the blue sky is coming. Very light traffic right now. Of course, traffic will be quite heavy for the folks heading from the west side of the mountains to the east side of the mountains for Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people camping in our area, heading up to Lake Chelan and various other outdoor recreational activities. And there's actually quite a bit of traffic on the highway heading from Arundel down to the Wenatchee Valley. Let's check out Jump Off Ridge. Last we checked, that thing was covered in rain, and it is. Jump Off Ridge camera. You can't quite make out the Wenatchee Valley. It's out there. Of course, the Stemilt Basin is just full of green orchards growing away there. Good morning to our friends in Jump Off Ridge. Nobody lives on Jump Off Ridge. I don't know why I said that, but that gives you a pretty good idea of how high the clouds are. They're not actually that low. They're up there pretty high as the rain continues to come down. But this view of Lake Wenatchee is just spectacular. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful view of Lake Wenatchee. It is crystal clear, and they're going to be busy. A lot of people are going to be heading up to Lake Wenatchee this weekend. What a stunning view that is. And you can see the blue skies that are not too far away from us. Those blue skies are heading our way, and they will be here in the not too distant future. From the National Weather Service, after a high of 76 yesterday, they say 83. I don't think we're going to get 83. Probably 79 or 80. Again, some light rain, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm late in the afternoon as the air begins to warm up. And all in all, not bad. We'll see some sunshine. It's on its way. Don't worry about it. Clear tonight, overnight low of about 58. A little wind at times, nothing we can't handle. Saturday, more sunshine than clouds. Saturday, we're going to start out with some sunshine, but we still can't rule out a little bit of a chance of a late afternoon thunderstorm on Saturday. A degree or so warmer with a high of 84. Things look really good Sunday. High of 86 for Memorial Day proper. Sunshine, high of 87, and we're looking pretty as this ridge of high pressure continues to move from the west to the east. We're going to be under the influence of that baby really starting on Saturday afternoon and lasting all the way through, they say, to the middle of next week. Bring it on. No complaints about the weather at all. It has been quite nice indeed. 5 minutes after the hour, grab a cup of coffee, your donuts, your hash browns, your sausage, your scrambled eggs, your whatever you want. And come back and see me in 2 minutes with your news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
I had had a seizure in the middle of the night, and they rushed me to the hospital and decided to induce labor to try to get the baby out. The outpouring of love and support I got from Confluence Health. My coworkers coming to the ICU to be with me. For me, it's the work family. It's just incredible to have support no matter what I'm going through in my personal life, my own health.
It's Click It RV's lowest price guarantee sale going on now at your neighborhood Click It RV.
Be a winner like me and get to Click It RV.
With 0 down and no payments till September, now is the time to own your dream RV.
Get to Click It RV now. Are you going to be mad, bro?
Get never before deep discounts on trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motorhomes. Plus the best selection, highest trade-in values ever, and a lifetime warranty. Nobody beats the discounts at Click It RV.
I'm Richard Sherman, and we guarantee it.
On Frontage Road.
Hey, welcome back to Save Mart. What can we help you find today?
We're looking for a mattress.
Oh, right this way. We got a large selection. We have this pillow top here.
Oh, comfortable.
We have more to choose from down here.
Oh.
I think I have the perfect one over here for you.
I guess we'll take this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Kind of a misty light rain, 53 degrees here in the big city. Rain will be tapering off. Sunshine will be working its way towards the Wenatchee Valley for most of the day today. Although a pop-up thunderstorm not out of the question. Fairly mild conditions and lots of sunshine in store for the 3-day weekend. It's 8 minutes after the hour. Trial began this week in Douglas County for an East Wenatchee woman who's accused of setting fire to her own home 4 years ago and then leaving a disabled resident inside while she took off. Sheriff's deputies say 52-year-old Cora L. Herbert started a fire in September of 2019 in her upper story bedroom in the 2700 block of Westview Drive. She then allegedly drove away, leaving a resident in the home who had only limited mobility. Firefighters kept the blaze confined to just one room. Nobody was injured. Herbert told investigators she'd been drinking and abusing prescription medication, and she has no memory of actually starting the fire. She's charged with first-degree arson. Jurors heard opening statements and testimony on Tuesday. If she's convicted, Herbert could face a likely sentence of 2 years in prison. It is that time of the year again. Prescribed fires in our area, including the north shore of Lake Chelan. The Chelan Ranger District is torching about 253 acres above Lake Chelan. The U.S. Forest Service says the burn site is located about 20 miles northwest of Chelan proper in the Falls Creek and Coyote Creek area. So smoke is likely going to be a little visible in Chelan today, but not so much over the weekend. Ranger crews, by the way, will be patrolling the area through the weekend to keep the fire to within the boundaries it's supposed to be in. The new medical and dental clinic that's been under construction for the last couple of years, the intersection of Eastmont and 9th in East Wenatchee, they now have an opening day. Columbia Valley Community Health says their facility will throw open their doors with a ribbon cutting ceremony on August 23rd at 10 a.m. Visitors can expect tours and refreshments. We like that. The new complex will house medical services plus 9 more dental chairs for patients of all income levels. Of course, Columbia Valley Community Health is a nonprofit community health center. They celebrated their 50th year in the Wenatchee Valley last year. The Washington State Apple Blossom Festival is gearing up for the next one, the 2024 festival, the 105th festival. The theme for next year, loving every minute of it. And Craig Field, our good friend from Mitchell, Reed and Schmitten Insurance, will oversee the program. He'll be the Director General, the guy in charge. Part of the 2024 team consists of Kurt Ulrich. He's going to be the Assistant Director General. Mary Ann Castro will be Chancellor of the Wenatchee Appalachians, and Kathy Campbell will be the Program Director, and that means Kathy Campbell will be the Director General in the year 2026. The official logo, don't have one yet. They're working on it. It'll be on, of course, booster pins and T-shirts. The annual fundraising auction, which starts the festival off on October 28th. This year's theme, Booze and Brews. I'm all for that. 43 new state troopers are now on the job. They were sworn in at the 117th Basic Training Graduation Ceremony. It was held at the Capitol Rotunda on Wednesday. They were sworn in by Washington State Supreme Court Justice Cheryl Gordon McLeod in front of friends and family members. Governor Jay Inslee also in attendance. He provided them with their commission cards alongside the head of the Washington State Patrol, Chief John Batiste. 4 troopers will be working in our area. Juan Mora and Hunter Sorensen have been assigned to the Okanagan County Detachment, and Kevin Manji and Fernando Lopez Hernandez will be assigned in the Moses Lake Detachment. And finally, if you're seeking some educational fun this weekend and all summer long, the Discovery Center at Rocky Reach Dam is going to have some longer hours. They're going to be open every Sunday, starting this Sunday. As a matter of fact, there'll be interactive exhibits, as there always is, displays, including the much-loved fish viewing area. The center will also be open on Memorial Day, by the way. The new hours, 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. The Sunday openings will be in effect through Labor Day. And if you haven't been there, it's pretty cool. I've been there a few times. It's well worth it. And that's what's making news at 12 minutes after the hour. Whatever news we can gather before we all deserve a 3-day weekend here at the Broadcast Metroplex. We've been working pretty hard, and a lot of people have had just 1-day weekends for about a month or so. So we're going to be here. We're going to work. I'm speaking just for myself. I'm not going to work real hard. I probably won't be in the office by 9. In any event, we'll have a news for you at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock to get you going, including Grant Olson with the updated Memorial Day weekend weather forecast. And you can check it out again on TV at 5, 6, and 10. Also on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and our home page. And we have that up and running on the World Wide Web at about 5 o'clock. And get a hold of us if there's something out there that you think demands our attention. We'd love to hear from our viewers. When we come back, sports, lots of baseball and lots of high school. It's state championship weekend. Sports is 2 minutes away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
The Lake Chelan Rotary Club invites you to experience Cycle Chelan, held June 24th, 2023. Pick your thrill from 4 rides: the Metric Century Challenge, Cycle Divino, the Lake Loop, or the Butte Blast. All profits from Cycle Chelan are used to support student scholarships and other charitable activities of the Lake Chelan Rotary Club. Cycle Chelan 2023, a route for every rider. Pick your thrill today.
You are ready to earn your BSN degree, and we know you need a special place to take the next step in your career. You are an engaged learner who needs modern labs and equipment, hands-on support, and small class sizes. You're a busy adventurer who needs trees, mountains, rivers, and trails. As a learner, as a future RN, as an adventurer, find it in the BSN program at Wenatchee Valley College.
Quarter after the hour, for the first time in 31 years, the Mariners sweep a 4-game series from the A's. They won last night 3-2. Seattle starter Logan Gilbert basically made just one mistake in the game at the top of the first inning. Seth Brown hit a pitch for a 2-run home run. After that, Gilbert was dominant for 8 innings. Offensively, the Mariners only had 5 hits, but luckily 2 of those 5 hits were home runs by Ty France.
That might change. Hernandez back, and it's 2-0 Oakland. Seth Brown unloads on Gilbert, scoring Noda, and the A's strike first on this Thursday night.
He's kind of like a Paul Sewald light.
France. High fly on its way. Gone. Ty France checking it right away. That wrist is all right. Mariners on the board, 2-1 Athletics.
Ty France does such a great job of getting even and getting balanced with his lower half, and that puts his hands in a position to just whip through the zone.
France pelts this deep. France left field. His first multi-homer game as a Mariner. He revisits Edgar's porch.
His adjustability is his strength. His bat just stays in the zone a really long time. His lower body is what keeps him so efficient.
The stretch and the 3-1 pitch, and it's up high for a ball 4. That's going to force in the go-ahead run. A bases loaded walk to Eugenio Suarez. It forces in Ty from third, and the Mariners have the lead for the first time in the ball game, 3-2 here in the bottom of the 8th, and the bases are still loaded.
Mariners 1 out away from a 4-game sweep. Fly ball out to Julio. This should do it. Julio underneath. The Mariners win.
Manager Scott Service says credit to Logan Gilbert, who pitched really well. And obviously, even though Ty France got hit in the wrist by a pitch a couple of nights ago, didn't seem to bother him.
Yeah, things kind of unfolded rather quickly. Julio gets up there and swings at the first pitch, and Gino was down going to the bathroom and came up and put his batting gloves on, and they intentionally walked Jared immediately. And Gino had no idea what the guy threw. Never seen him before. Go play baseball. Hunting a good pitch. Didn't get a good pitch he could swing at. It worked out okay. Sometimes that happens. You know what I mean? And it seems like it happens to Gino maybe more than others, but it worked out okay. He was on pitches. I even thought the best swing he took all night might have been the pop-up he hit on the slider on the at-bat before he hit the double. I thought he was on time tonight. And he got on some fastballs and gets the ball in the air a little bit, so he's definitely moving in the right direction. We need him. He's our best player. You need best players to show up and play well, and he did tonight.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez has been struggling, but he had 8 hits in this series, including a couple of hits last night. The Mariners now welcome the Pirates into town for the first of the 3-game set, 7:10 tonight on Root Sports Northwest. The Mariners in Oakland were the only teams in the division playing on Thursday, so the Mariners win, so they get a half-game gain on Texas in the standings. They're now 5.5 games in back of the division. The number 8 seed Cashmere Bulldogs made a major statement on Thursday in the first round of the state 1A softball tournament in Richland. They erupted for 22 runs on 22 hits. They cruised to a 22-4 victory over Wenatchee's Valley. Thursday's win over Wenatchee's Valley was the Bulldogs' first ever win at the state tournament. And Cashmere is now just one of 8 teams remaining in the tournament. They take on the number 1 seed today, Montesano, at 1 o'clock in the state quarterfinals. If they beat Montesano, Cashmere would move on to the 1A state semis on Saturday. If they lose, they would be forced to play a loser-out game at 7 o'clock tonight. How did they do it? Cashmere scored 10 runs in the first inning and then 9 more runs in the second inning. 10 different players collected at least 1 hit for the Bulldogs, and 8 players had at least 2 hits. Eastmont and Moses Lake are in the Tri-Cities today for the first round of the state 4A softball tournament. The Wildcats take on Puyallup this morning at 11 a.m. and Moses Lake takes on Richland. The winner between Eastmont and Puyallup will play the winner between Moses Lake and Richland in the quarters. That'll be this afternoon at 3. The losers play a loser-out game also this afternoon at 3. The Brewster and Okanagan girls softball teams are in Yakima, the gateway to Wapato. It's the state 2B tournament. Brewster plays Forks this morning at 10 o'clock in the first round win, and they'll play Warden in the quarterfinals at 2. And Okanagan will await the winner of Kittitas and PL Willapa in the quarterfinals at 2 o'clock. Elmira, Cooley, Heartline, Loggins, and Messina, they're also at the Gateway Sports Complex. It's a state 1B tournament. The Warriors take on DeSales today at noon in the quarterfinals. Win or lose, they'll play again at 4 o'clock against either Darrington or Liberty Christian. The Brewster Bears are in the Final Four of the State 2B baseball tournament. That's at Johnson O'Brien Field in Ephrata. Brewster plays the final of 4 games on the field today against Tri-Cities Prep. That's tonight at 7. Win, and they'll be in the championship tomorrow night at 7. They'll be taking on the winner of Adna and Toutle Lake. The 1B tournament also taking place. Semifinals today at 10 a.m. Mount Vernon Christian will do battle with Liberty Christian, and then DeSalle and DeSales will face off at 1 o'clock. Eric Granstrom is in Ephrata. In fact, he's in Ephrata as we speak. He'll be there over the weekend doing some radio play-by-play. We'll have his sports for tonight from Ephrata right here on the NCW Life Channel. State Track and Field Championships begin today across Washington. They'll continue today and tomorrow, as a matter of fact. The smaller schools, 1B, 2B, and 1A, they're going to be in Yakima at Zeffel Stadium. The 2A, 3A, and 4A is where they have been for a long time, Mount Tahoma High School. The state tennis championships are spread between 3 cities in western and eastern Washington. The smaller schools, 1B, 2B, and 1A championships are going to be held at the Gateway Tennis Center in Yakima. The 2A tournament is at the Nordstrom Center on the campus of the University of Washington. The 4A tournament is at Kamiakin High School in the Tri-Cities. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this 26th day of May. I could have chosen National Heat Awareness Day, which is always the first Friday going into Memorial Day weekend, because for a lot of people, they'll be going out and spending a lot of time outdoors in the heat. I don't think it's going to be too hot. Don't worry about that. National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. Sounds good to me. National World Lindy Hop Day. No chance I'm doing that. Today is National Paper Airplane Day. Yeah, National Paper Airplane Day is always observed on May 26th because it's on the internet. 2 of my favorite memories. I remember there was a contest at the Kingdom long time ago. They took a car that had a sunroof on it, and they parked the car right in the middle of the Kingdom, and they opened the sunroof, and then you went up to the 300 deck of the Kingdom, and you made a paper airplane, and you filled out your name and your number and your phone number, and you threw the airplane from the upper level of the Kingdom, and the airplane landed inside the car with the open sunroof. You won the car. I think everybody knows how to make the basic dart paper airplane that you see there. One of my favorite gifts I got a long time ago, I was actually an adult, somebody got it for me for Christmas. It was a paper airplane book. It was a really nice book, very nice, great paper. On one side was how to make this particular paper airplane, and the other side, you tore that page out of the book, and it had, this is where you hit the fold, and this is where you put the tape, and this is where you put the staple, 1 here, 2 here. And you could make really, really cool paper airplanes without having any idea how to make a paper airplane. So, and there are paper airplane competitions, I guess, being held today as well. National Paper Airplane Day today. I should have made one. It's not too late, I suppose. 23 minutes after the hour, today in history. The idea was President Andrew Jackson could negotiate with the native tribes in the southern part of this country, negotiate for their land. So here's the deal, native tribes. We know you've been here for thousands of years before the white man showed up, but you got some pretty nice chunks of real estate, and even though we signed a treaty with the Native Americans, you guys could keep your reservations. Well, we want them now, so get the hell out. There was no negotiating. It was, we're just taking your land, and we're going to send you all off to Oklahoma to begin the Trail of Tears. There was no negotiations involved. It was just move, blow, we're taking your land. We have a treaty, we don't care, out. The Indian Removal Act, negotiating with the Native Americans. There was no negotiating, it was just go. Passed into law 193 years ago today. One of the most remarkable games in Major League Baseball history, and there's been a lot of them, Harvey Haddix of the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Milwaukee Braves throws 12 innings of perfect baseball. 36 Braves up, 36 Braves down. An unbelievable achievement through 12 perfect innings. In the 13th inning, it all fell apart. It started out, a guy reached first base on an error, so he still has a no-hitter. And then they intentionally walked Henry Aaron because there was no score. And then the third guy up hit a home run. But Henry Aaron, he got passed in the base path, so the home run didn't count. Imagine that. Harvey Haddix gives up 1 run and loses 1-0. The Braves' Lou Burdett gives up 12 hits and wins 1-0. 12 perfect innings, no perfect game. Harvey Haddix on this date in 1959. And one of the stranger Supreme Court decisions of recent memory, 25 years ago today, May 26, 1998, the Supreme Court of the United States rules that most of Ellis Island in New York Harbor is actually in New Jersey. Now, as you look at the graphic there behind me, it's from the Washington Post. The original Ellis Island was in New York, that little black spot there, but as they decided to make it an immigration and, you know, the checkoff point for the millions and millions of Europeans who came to this country, they made Ellis Island bigger. They just did land field and they made it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they kept moving Ellis Island to the west, and New Jersey said, well, wait a minute, that's an artificial island. That belongs to us, doesn't it? And they actually went to court, and they went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that most of Ellis Island, the man-made part of Ellis Island, is actually in New Jersey. What did this mean? Nothing. Nothing at all. Ellis Island is federal land. Lawyers got paid. What's the point of the lawsuit? Doesn't matter. It's all federal land anyway. Birthdays: Mary Michael Morrison, John Wayne the Duke. Everybody called him Duke. That was his nickname. Born in the state in 1907, died of cancer in 1979. At the age of 72, appeared in 146 movies, including the greatest Western ever made, The Searchers, which is also one of the greatest movies ever made. Red River, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, The Quiet Man, Rio Bravo, The Longest Day, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. McHugh, remember that movie, shot in Seattle, The Cowboys, True Grit, The Shootist, and about 127 more. John Wayne, born in the state in 1907. Speaking of legendary cowboy actors, James Arness was born 100 years ago today, the only actor to appear in all 635 episodes of Gunsmoke. From 1955 to 1975, James Arness was born 100 years ago today. By the way, he was good friends with John Wayne. Miles Davis, he's on the Mount Rushmore of jazz. I don't know what else to say. Birth of the Cool, In a Silent Way, Kind of Blue, Bitches Brew, Jack Johnson, Porgy and Bess, Cookin', it's all good. It's Miles Davis. We miss him, born in this state in 1926. Happy 84th birthday to Brent Musburger. I got to meet Brent Musburger a number of years ago. Nice guy, really nice guy. He spent a long time with CBS and they fired him, and he went to work for ABC and ESPN, and he worked there for 27 more years. Brent Musburger, completely out of broadcasting now, 84 years old today. The legendary Levon Helm would have been 83 years old today. Drummer of the band, for many people, the heart and soul, the driving force of the band. Of course, he also played Loretta Lynn's father in Coal Miner's Daughter, the great Levon Helm. We miss him, born in the state in 1940. And two other rockers and rollers, Stevie Nicks, 75. She's touring. She's out touring. Stevie Nicks is one of only two females who have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. The other is Carole King. Stevie Nicks is 75 years old today. And one of my faves, Lenny Kravitz. I got everything he's ever done and 3 albums he didn't do. Lenny Kravitz. Guy is good. Really good. He's 59 years old today. Rock on, Lenny. 29 minutes after the hour. Mike McNalty's got an opinion. And then we're going to revisit my interview with Joel Norman as we're getting ready for Apple Sox baseball. It's about a week away. Storm and Joel Norman joins me next. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Shoot, I think I left my keys in the kitchen. Can you grab them?
Yep.
Find out?
What's this?
It's a locking bag. It keeps Grandma's medication safe.
But I could just take it.
Well, for one thing, it locks. And if it were gone, I'd know there's a problem.
Huh. Well played.
Help prevent opioid misuse before it starts. Visit getthefactsrx.com.
Hey there folks, Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
In 1963, Coastal opened its doors. 60 years later, we have you to thank for our continued success, and we're still proud to be just what your country needs.
Today, you'll find everything from pants and boots to fencing, feed, and more. From brands you know and trust like Carhartt, Wrangler, Ariat, Georgia Boot, DeWalt, and Quadrifier. Join the celebration. Stop by, scan the QR code, or enter online to win big prizes. Visit Coastal today or find us online at coastalcountry.com.
This is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, many times, somebody has said something to me, usually something critical, and I get defensive. I'm sure I'm the only one. Now, what I'm trying to learn to do when this happens is to stop and think. Why am I getting defensive? Is there some truth in what I'm hearing? Now, often this is the case, I got to admit. I get defensive because something about what I'm being told is accurate. And, you know, I think I should do this more often, reflect when I get defensive, when I'm criticized, and react that way. Maybe instead of defending myself, I should stop and think, you know, is there a chance for correction here and doing myself some self-improvement? Maybe there is. This is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and that's my opinion.
At Washington Trust Bank, can't is a four-letter word.
I think I'll sell my veggies at the market.
Do you even remember to water the house plants?
I do this? You can do this.
Hey, we need to build a home office. We're adding another bathroom.
I think I'll study programming.
Bro, you even connect your phone to Bluetooth.
We believe you can do whatever you set your mind to, and we'll help you get there. Washington Trust Bank, privately owned, locally invested.
Hi, everybody. Dan Kuntz alongside Jesse Coble from Alpine Air. My heat pump there's like steam coming out of it. It's making weird noises. Is this something I need to be concerned about?
No, Dan, that's normal operation. Refrigeration technology steals heat from the outside, transfers it to the inside, and it creates frost on your heat pump. The defrost cycle melts that off, which creates steam and a little bit of noise.
That makes sense. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. For heat and air, call Alpine Air. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
I'm holding a baseball on the front of my desk. I got bobbleheads from Marco Gonzalez and a couple from our good friend the Coyote. And that means one thing and one thing only. Time to talk about Apple Sox baseball for the 2023 season. This guy is no stranger to this program. Welcome him back from the frigid Midwest. I'm sorry, the name again? Oh, Joel Norman. Stormin' Joel Norman. Broadcasting voice of the Apple Sox. Hello, my friend.
How we doing, Dan?
How was Nebraska?
It was good. It's nice to be getting out into the sunshine a little bit more, out of a few hockey arenas and getting set for baseball season. Best time of the year.
In a lot of ways, COVID sucked, but in one good way, we got to keep you because you were going to leave. You were gone, Johnson.
I was set to, yeah.
Yeah, you were set to leave, head off to the East Coast to do some minor league baseball, another level up from a professional standpoint. COVID came. you were hired by a team who never played baseball, and then you say, well, I got nothing better going on, and you came back here to the big city, and here you are.
It worked out, and I'm really grateful, of course, to the Apple Sox. This is a great team to work for. This is a great town to work in, and it's been fun, and it's kind of allowed me to open up working in hockey again as well. So, I think we all learned stuff from the pandemic. I think it kind of helped a lot of us improve for the better once we got through it as well.
And thank you for bringing Austin Andrade into the fold. He had big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively, with the passing of the great Art Checker. The guy calls a good hockey game. You kind of expedited getting Austin Andrade from Iowa to the Wenatchee Valley to take over the broadcast.
His work speaks for itself. Austin's done a phenomenal job. Years of the NA3HL, last year in the NAHL, and then jumping here to the BC. He's a phenomenal hockey broadcaster and a great human being too.
Speaking of broadcasting, quick note before we get going: we'll be broadcasting the home opener for the Apple Sox on June 6th. I believe it's a non-league game. They actually start out with league games.
Actually, it's a league one. We're playing Springfield for that one.
Oh, that's right, Springfield.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We'll be broadcasting that on June 6th, correct? That's
June
a Tuesday?
6th, 6:35.
That's a Tuesday. I'll be here on the NCW Life channel. Been busy for Mitch Darlington, the head coach of the Apple Sox. He wears like 9 hats. He's the athletic director up there at Waterville Mansfield for the school district there. Commutes out of Manson, comes down here. He's a really busy guy, and yet he is building a pretty damn good roster. We're going to highlight some people, but just from an overall standpoint, his recruiting has been top-notch.
He's done a phenomenal job. You always expect a coach from their first year to their second year to improve. Mitch has gone leaps and bounds, and granted, we haven't taken the field yet. And that's what he would say is, let's wait till we get at least the season under us. But, just right off the bat, 4 of the top 10 prospects in the state of Washington who are graduating this spring, these are in-state players. 4 of them are going to play for the Apple Sox. He's done a great job of getting that in-state talent and keeping it here. So we've benefited a lot, and Mitch would say it as well. We benefit a lot from a rule change with the West Coast League this year, where in previous years you can only have 2 incoming freshmen on your summer roster. This year they've moved that number from 2 to 6. We have some really talented kids coming right out of high school who are going to be playing for the Apple Sox here this summer.
And, of course, the Apple Sox made the playoffs for the first time in a number of years under the new leadership of Mitch Darlington. The team kind of just sort of, I don't want to say flounder, but they did not live up to expectations for a couple of seasons. Mitch was brought in. He's turned around both from a baseball standpoint and a talent standpoint. He's doing a hell of a job.
Technically going back to 2019, it's the second time the last 3 years making it. But you're right, though. There's been some changes. 2021 was rough for us, and 2022 was, you turned over a new leaf. And, boy, what a difference it was. An optimistic outlook from day one with Mitch. He just exuded his pride in being here in Wenatchee as well as in the Apple Sox as well. And it really showed last summer, and now it's a good start, and he would say it as well. You're setting the bar higher for yourself, though, for year number 2. So we're hoping to avoid that sophomore slump that sometimes gets talked about.
It should also be pointed out that he has if you watched any of the Apple Sox games last year, he has a style. He likes aggressive baseball. Once the guys are on the base, take bases, steal bases, hit runs, take the extra base. Once you're on base, he wants you to score.
Oh, for sure. And I think my favorite strategy move he really does is with his pitchers. The bullpen is so fun to follow with the Apple Sox because, at the major league level, you're used to guys going 1 inning, then you go to the next guy, then you go to the next one. Mitch will bring in a reliever 4th, 5th, or 6th inning. He might let him finish the game. It just depends how they're feeling. And I love that he just decides things on a game-by-game basis. You're not coaching with 3 months ahead in advance because you don't have 3 months ahead in advance. You've got 2.5 months for your season. So fun to watch what he does with the bullpen, and I've joked with him a couple times already. We've got guys this summer who might slot into that role for you, the 6th-inning reliever.
At this point in the process, of course, the roster is all but locked. There are some exceptions. In the early part of the year, and you know this, the roster is in flux a great deal because some of the players have committed. They've signed to come to the Apple Sox this summer. Their collegiate team are still playing. They're in the playoffs in the postseason. So, and then they usually like to take about a week's break. Then they pack and they drive up here. So some of these that we're going to talk about are going to sign 10-day commitments to the Apple Sox, but they may stick around for the full year. And it's always good to steal somebody from a league rival, specifically the Cowles Black Bears. Let's start out with Jaden Williamson as we throw up his photo. I believe we have that. Welcome back. He is back for another year.
Yeah, he pitched for us for a couple of games in 2021, kind of a late season addition that year, and he's having himself a great spring this year at Lower Columbia. I think anyone who follows college baseball, maybe more specifically junior college baseball, you're so familiar with the work that the Red Devils do, especially on the mound. So this is a guy we're excited to have. He had 16 appearances, I believe it was, last summer. You don't see a lot of guys make double-digit appearances, but so good in relief for Cowles, and he's going to start out, as I mentioned, on that 10-day role for us. Could turn that into a full season contract, especially as a pitcher if you really impress early on.
Mitch and his pitching coach are a huge believer in a big staff. and a deep staff. You want a couple of utility players, but if you want to fill up your roster, you do it with as many pitchers as we can. One of two catchers brought on board, Cade Westerland from Everett Community College. Talk about this gentleman.
Yeah, Cade's another guy who he's done a really good job so far defensively for Everett Community College. Played at Yavapai, I believe it was last year. Had a good stick there. Had some home runs. He's got that nice contact as a catcher, where if he's going to make contact, he's probably going to get some extra bases in there. But he's so stout defensively from everything we've seen, everything Mitch has talked about, and it's nice to bring that kind of guy aboard early on because, as you mentioned, the roster early on in the season always a little bit in flux. One thing I think that Mitch has done a fantastic job of in his 2 years is never leaving that catcher position too depleted. We see teams sometimes at the start of the season, at the beginning of the season, might only have one catcher back there. Mitch has got this team really ready to go from behind the plate, and if you remember from last year, that catching position was a position of strength. The relationship they had with our pitchers was so important, and we're really trying to foster that early on this year.
Very little passed balls got by our catchers, and you will take a defensive-minded catcher who can handle a pitching staff over anybody who can rake a baseball. That's an even trade. I'll take defense
100%.
and field management over offense any day of the week. Travis Helm, another 10-dayer, and he doesn't have a very long drive. He has to drive up from Ellensburg, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. He's one of two catchers who are coming to us from Central Washington, and boy, it's been so fun to rework that relationship the last couple of years. Of course, Mitch played there when he was in college, so I know he loves seeing a couple of Wildcats on the Apple Sox, and Travis is a guy who he didn't really get a ton of chances to catch this season at Central because the guy ahead of him, Austin Olin, who's also going to be joining the Apple Sox. Yeah, he's also going to be on the Apple Sox. That guy was raking so much. They had to keep his bat in the lineup somewhere, so they put him at DH, and he was a second-team all-conference hitter. So two really good options behind the plate right there. Austin will be joining the Apple Sox later, of course, but I think Travis is going to impress early on and really make a name for himself with the Apple Sox.
And a guy who really became a fan favorite last year, Connor Ashworth, is coming back. The big guy from Brewster, we carried a couple of his games last year, brought a huge contingent down from the Brewster area. There he is. There's the big guy. This guy can throw. This guy, you don't look like him, but he's got a game.
Boy, is he good. His first outing with us last year was the second home game of the season. He comes on, it's the seventh inning of the game, tied up at the time, comes on, gives up a weak ground out to start it, then strikes out the next 8 hitters in a row.
I remember.
Perfect 9 up, 9 down, 3 perfect innings of relief. 8 consecutive strikeouts. I've never seen anything like that in relief, and he was just so impressive. Dealt with some injuries last year, fought back, though, to be with the team late in the season, and he started game 1 of the postseason against Kamloops. I mean, Dan, I can't describe how much adversity the Apple Sox are facing that day. Bus was a little late getting up, no batting practice.
I remember that, yes.
Raucous crowd at Kamloops. I can't understand. Great fans up there. They were so into it. Their first ever playoff game. Connor takes a no-hitter into the 6th. The Apple Sox win 10-1. I mean, that guy was just born for the big stage, and he loves being part of the Apple Sox. Mitch talked about that with me recently. He said, Connor said he's not sure when he'll be able to debut this summer, but he's planning to be in the dugout pretty much every home game. He wants to be part of this organization, and it's what we talked about before, is that building a program, getting these guys who want to come in and they want to be wearing the red, white, and blue.
And when you talk about starting pitchers, you usually see them up there blowing smoke out of their ears. This guy's out there smiling and having fun.
Oh yeah,
he brings that kind of aspect to a starting pitcher role, and he's got an iron arm. He can eat up a lot of innings if you need it.
Absolutely. Out of the pen, as a starter, wherever you want him. Connor Ashworth, I think he's proven in his career. Hasn't got to pitch this spring at Billings, but we often hear that with us. I think fans, maybe you forget about the guys who don't pitch in the spring. We love that. That usually means if they're signed with us, they're full go in the summer.
Mitch Darlington probably has about 100 cell phone numbers on his cell phone from various players that he keeps in touch with and talks with. And we talk about how Mitch and his predecessors, the importance of recruiting, building a program, and bringing in the players to help the Apple Sox succeed and help the players succeed in their goal of working as far up the baseball ladder as possible. But sometimes it's the players themselves who get on the cell phone or text another guy who they play ball with at community college or someplace and said, come to Wenatchee and play with me. We're going to have a good time. And that's the case with this last guy, our friend Mr. Buxton. Let's throw up his photo, if you don't mind, and talk about this guy.
Yeah, Fred Buxton, boy, what a year. Vanguard season just wrapped up a couple of days ago. He led them in home runs, RBIs. I think he was second in hits, and we've got him on a 10-day contract. You don't usually get any player from any school just on a 10-day contract, but this is a guy, a middle infielder. I'll touch on the connection in a moment here, but Dan, but this was something Mitch and I talked about. That middle infield last year, pretty much from day one, Joey Oyama at second, Iva Arquette at short. This year, it's not quite set in stone, and that's not a bad thing. It's a very open competition with a lot of talented players. Fred Buxton's a guy who's been in college, I think, 4 years, but he's technically a junior because of COVID and redshirting. Technically going to be a junior this fall, so he's got a ton of experience. We've got several incoming freshmen from in-state, as I mentioned before. They're middle infielders as well. A lot of talent at second and short, and it's going to be a battle to get those positions. But going back to the connections, boy, Quincy Vassar, Mitch has joked about him. Of course, he pitched for us last year from Brewster as well, like Connor. Quincy has done such a great job kind of telling buddies, hey, come play for the Apple Sox, come play with me in Wenatchee this summer. And he's just like Connor. Quincy is where he's so proud to be part of the Apple Sox, fired up every time he puts on the uniform. And it's nice to have a guy like Fred joining us as a result, someone who is going to come in with a really positive perception of the town as well as the team. And we say it all the time, these players going back to their schools, boy, they really can be the best recruiters for us. Even though the guys are at their tail end of their baseball season for most of these guys, and it's time for summer ball with the West Coast League, it doesn't necessarily mean that Mitch can just fill out a lineup card and send him out there. He has very little prep time. We need to stress that. I mean, the guys pull into town. He's got, who do I got? Shows you, okay, let's go play some ball. He doesn't get a lot of one-on-one time with these players that he'd like to have until they're 2-3 weeks into the season. Yeah, we really don't have guys flying in here until about May 30th, I think, at the earliest. So, the guys will trickle in, and Mitch has a couple of workouts at the field before then. But, it's worth mentioning, Mitch is still dealing with his full-time job up in Mansfield. He's got to get out of classes early to come over here to do a little bit of coaching in the afternoon. He gets a couple practices in, I think, May 31st and June 1st, and then we're off to Bend. We open up the season June 2nd. It's like what you mentioned. You're kind of figuring out on the fly, which, to me, Dan, I think it makes it even more impressive when teams win the first half of their division in the season, because so many of these teams are flying by the seat of their pants those first 2.5 weeks of the season. You're trying to figure out what you have. And we're not even expecting to have I'd say about 95% of our full roster until probably Father's Day weekend. That's the normal weekend each year where you've got everyone on board. Now it's a battle for each position. Early on, you might only have one third baseman. You might only have one a guy who you really trust in the 9th inning. And it's one of those opportunities where guys can come out of the gate and really earn themselves a spot on this team. We saw it last year. Xander Orejudos from Ellensburg, who's just wrapping up his senior year at Jamestown. Same thing with him. Came in, really impressed early on. He was with us at the end of the season. So great opportunity for guys early on. I really encourage fans to really cheer these guys on early. They're not coming from the flashy universities quite yet, but boy, they've got a lot of heart and they've got aspirations, for some of them especially, to be at those schools. You're going to look at you're going to go to the Apple Sox website. You're going to look at the schedule and you say, where are the Pippins? Where are the Sweets? Where's Corvallis? What's going on here? We're not playing those teams this year. Unfortunately. Different kind of schedule. Talk about that. The West Coast League has really prioritized this year the focus of division versus division play. There's been some previous years, and I support that aspect. I'll say that first off. There's been previous years where sometimes you play one team in your division just for 3 games, they don't come to you maybe, or you don't go to them. And it makes it a little bit tricky at the end of the year when those tiebreakers come into play. I think the league has done a great job this year of prioritizing that, where we're going to play everyone in our division twice. They'll come to us, and we'll go to them as well, which is good because you need to get that action out of the way. And then there's a couple other series against your southern teams, but the way the league is doing it, at least for us, is every team we play in the South, it'll also be a home-and-home set. For example, Springfield comes here to open up our home schedule. Then the next week, we go to them. Bend, same thing. We open up the season at the Elks, longtime West Coast League rival, fellow founding member like us. They'll come to us again later in the year as well. I wish in those instances maybe we could have snuck in a Yakima or a Walla Walla. We played Corvallis a lot the last few years, so I understand that. But I would love to see Yakima and Walla Walla because we are the southernmost team in the North Division. Yeah. And they are the northernmost teams in the Southern Division. So naturally they're our closest, but not in the same division as us. What road trips are you particularly looking forward to this year? Maybe some places you haven't visited in a while. Boy, I'm trying to think. We pretty much, I think everywhere we go on the road besides Springfield, we went to last year. Springfield joined the league last year. The Drifters, a tough first year for them, so they're really looking to bounce back this year. But we get a head down there. It looks like a great ballpark. I believe they host Bushnell University there as well. So really nice facility, all turf, which our players always love seeing those kinds of fields. The trip to Edmonton is going to be a ton of fun. We go there. We will be playing on Canada Day. Oh, perfect. July 1st. Yes. Yeah. So last year, Edmonton was also home that day. They set the West Coast League's single game attendance record. Wow. I'm imagining that might get topped this year. Hopefully we can pull off a little shocker on the road. But, going to other places, Victoria is always fun. Great fans, great crowds up there. And we didn't go to Port Angeles last year, so it'll be nice to get back there. The one place I've been wanting to go, Dan, they joined the league in 2019. They've come to us twice. We have never gone there, the Ridgefield Raptors. We still have not visited the Ridgefield Outdoor Recreation Complex. So one of these days, I've heard it's a hitter's ballpark, so I know our guys would love to get there at some point, maybe next year.
When the owners got together with Commissioner Nyer, they hammered out the schedule. Nobody gets everything they want. Everybody wants to play weekends at home. It just doesn't happen that way. There must have been some talk about the changes, the three significant changes in Major League Baseball. Bigger bases, pitch clock, no shift. That's that in a gist. That's essentially it. Was there any talk among the owners about taking, since it's a wood bat league and a league that's kind of rooted in baseball tradition, if Major League Baseball is willing to do this, to bring in the younger generation and bring more fans, maybe we should take a look at it too. Any talk about that during the winter meetings?
It's interesting that we are planning to add some sort of, not quite a pitch clock, but I would call it an action clock. Now, the NCAA has one like that. They call it an action clock. I got to go to a couple Division I games this spring. I saw it in action, no pun intended, and it's really good. It just encourages the game flow in a really good way. Not quite as strict as the MLB pitch clock that we've seen, so I think fans will enjoy this. The one problem we could have is a lot of these parks don't have visible clocks. Yeah. And I'm wondering if in the next year or two that may change. We'll see how it goes. It might go fine without it. I'm hoping that's the case because that would save a lot of teams some money along the way. But I'm interested to see how that's going to go. And frankly, I'm actually planning to talk with the head of the umpiring union for the West Coast League, John White. I'm chatting with him for our podcast this week. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he says because I'm going to ask him stuff like that. What's the plan with making this work with players? How are they going to be aware of it when they can't see the clock as well?
And you got to remember that in Major League Baseball, the umpires are wired up. Yep. Like crazy. They have a little buzzer. They know what they're talking about. There's somebody in their ear. So that pitch clock thing, they're getting help with it as opposed to they have to physically look at a clock on the wall that's counting down.
Yeah, it works a little.
We need to point that out.
Yeah, it works out really well for them. They've got a little help. And it's also worth noting for the West Coast League, we typically have about 2 umpires on hand. It's a tough task, but you know what? It's a good way for them to learn because of these lower levels. In these college, these high school levels, you're seeing that's the case. You only have a couple out there, so you really have to be confident in yourself as an umpire, and you also have to have a lot of faith in your counterpart, whether they're in the field or they're behind home plate. So
I suppose the cheapest thing you can do is the bigger bases. I mean, that's not that big of an expense, and every ballpark that I've been to have bases.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the funny thing is with Major League Baseball, when they enacted that, they wanted to get more action on the base paths, and they've gotten it so far. The West Coast League for years has been a great league for small ball, for everything. That's what I always encourage the fans when I sell them on the league is that you're going to see stolen bases, you're going to see hit and runs, and you're going to see bunts. It's baseball at its finest when you come to an Apple Sox game or in any park in the West Coast League each summer. So I always encourage people that because I myself sometimes I wish we saw more of it at the Major League level, but you come here on a summer night in Wenatchee, you'll see plenty of Paul Thomas Senior Stadium.
Being a traditionalist, and traditionalist is code for old fart. I was a little reluctant about the rules changes. I have come around. I like the pitch clock, and I like the bigger bases. Still not a big fan of the shift. I still think that the manager should be able to play his players wherever the hell he wants to.
Yep.
I'll get used to it.
I think I agree with you there, too.
I'll get used to it. Billet families, how we doing? Folks who are going to open up a bedroom and their refrigerator to Apple Sox players for the summer, how we doing there?
Well, it was really nice. I'll start with this. First off, yesterday we had our host family appreciation dinner, which is a great way for us to kind of invite everyone out, thank them, and also reveal to the families who they're going to be housing this summer. So that was a lot of fun. Always looking for a couple more. We've probably got about 4 or 5 more beds we're looking to fill. It's part of what I mentioned to you before. These 10-day contracts to begin the season with us. Just need a couple of extra homes for them. As I said, Mitch has done a great job making sure our roster is full, but because of that, we just need a little extra help. So I just encourage people, if you got an extra bed at home, if you want free season tickets to Apple Sox baseball as well, just reach out to us. Email us, info@applesox.com. Also give us a call, 509-669-6500 as well. So, we're always looking for extra host families, and it's a great way to make some memories over the summer. You got a guy to cheer for. When the team comes in, you might not know. We do have a lot of returners this year, but you might not know a few guys. Great way to cheer on the team, have a guy to cheer for, talk baseball with them. And if you've got kids as well, we will give your family free admission to our youth camps as well if you host a player. So a lot of perks to doing it.
And the gal who coordinates it, Marcy Skelton, is a member of the Wenatchee High School class of 1983, the greatest class ever to graduate.
No bias?
From that fine institution. Trust me on that. We love her. She does a great job. And every year she comes back.
Yeah, she's been such a great host parent.
That's got to tell you anything you need to know right there.
Yep.
Log on to the Apple Sox website. Get your season tickets. It's not too late. They also have the 10-pack deal. Great deal.
Oh, yes.
Pick out the 10 games you want to go to, schedule them all out, and you get a really good deal on that. All kinds of promotions going on. We'll have you on one more time before opening day. For sure. So, yeah, opening day is down in Bend. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They get Monday the 5th off of June. And then on Tuesday, June 6th, they're home at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium for a game that we will be televising. Do us a favor, go to the ballpark. Baseball on TV is great. Baseball at the ballpark, quite frankly, is better.
You can watch the replay later as well.
There you go. You're pretty good. The voice of the Wenatchee Wild, Austin Drade, joining me here. I'm sorry, it's Joel Norman, the voice of the Wenatchee Apple Sox. I talked to too many of you guys. Go Sox.
Go Sox. It's going to be a great summer.
Storm and Joel Norman. We'll be right back. When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the diagnostic doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units.
Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa, located on South Wenatchee Ave, has the largest selection of spas and swim spas in town. Stay cool this summer in an artesian swim spa and use it all year long. We enjoy helping families reconnect one spa at a time. Hot tubs are proven to improve sleep and decrease arthritis pain. Our passion is water, so please bring us a water sample, and we will help you diagnose your pool or spa water for free. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa, your pool and spa experts.
The Wenatchee Valley. Here, most of us really enjoy the great outdoors, and most of us try to make the most of our natural resources. Here at Apple Valley Honda, we know that for generations, we have harnessed nature to sustainably power the West, and we are proud to be part of that tradition as an environmentally green dealership award winner. Being a green dealership means Apple Valley Honda has reduced our overall environmental impact. We are so proud to live in this wonderful community.
Are you caught in a conflict with a family member, in the workplace, or with a neighbor or business? Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center provides mediation services, a cost-effective and efficient way to provide a written resolution to disputes and issues. Plus, we offer mediation training and community education on topics like conflict resolution and communication skills. Contact us at 509-888-0957 or www.wvdrc.org to learn more.
Starting to see the clouds lift a little bit higher from their low-hanging banks. Starting to see the rain taper off a little bit. We'll start seeing some blue skies in the not-too-distant future. It is 55 degrees. Before we do the weather forecast, quick little reminder of the Memorial Day commemorations coming up on Monday, at least here in the Wenatchee Valley. There are other municipalities, Cashmere and some other places, that will be holding ceremonies as well on Memorial Day. It'll begin at 9 o'clock at the Wenatchee City Cemetery, with the commemorations, flags, taps, speakers, that kind of deal. 9 o'clock at the Wenatchee City Cemetery on Monday. At 10 o'clock, Mayor Frank Kuntz of Wenatchee and Mayor Jerry Lee Crawford of East Wenatchee will meet at the center of the pedestrian pipeline bridge that connects the two cities together. They will drop the wreath, the traditional wreath, into the Columbia River to honor those who lost their lives at sea. That is at 10 o'clock on Monday. At 11 o'clock, the commemorations continue at Evergreen Memorial Stadium in Memorial Cemetery in East Wenatchee. It's pretty much the same program they're going to have at Wenatchee at 9. That'll happen at 11 o'clock at Evergreen in East Wenatchee. And then at 12 noon, there'll be commemoration